My name's Croft, and this is a very short video about practical approaches to happiness. I've been thinking about this subject a while because I've been teaching time management, and it's become increasingly obvious that the only point of how you use your time is to make yourself happier. Whether it's through doing things you enjoy or trying to achieve things, what's the point if it doesn't make you happier? So I've realised that really I've been studying happiness. So happiness comes from the way you live your life, and the only things you can really change in the way you live your life are how you spend your money and how you spend your time. They're the only levers you can pull. And how you spend your money is already fairly fixed by the time you've paid for the mortgage and the car. But how you spend your time, that's a whole different subject. Anyway, happiness isn't about money. You already have enough money to be happy if you can afford a car and if you have a house to live in, for example. Being any richer than that won't make you any happier. Happiness comes from what you do, not what you have. And you will discover that if you haven't already discovered it. So it comes from people and not things. So what practical approaches can we have to increasing the amount of happiness in our lives? Well, if it comes from people, not things, the first thing that you could consider doing is to spend more time with friends. Find ways to spend as much time as you can with them. And ditch the people who make you unhappy, so-called toxic people. Find ways to get them out of your life. The next thing is find a job that you enjoy. Since you're going to have to spend 5 days a week working, probably, you need to find a job that you enjoy at least most of the time. You're never going to find a perfect job that you love every day, every minute of the week. But if you can find a job you enjoy most of the time, that's a good start. And by the way, converting one of your hobbies into a job, let's say playing music, might not be the answer, because you might start to dislike that hobby if you have to do it all the time to earn a living. Another fairly obvious idea, but actually more difficult to do than it sounds, is to find out what makes you happy and then do more of it. So maybe review the last few weeks and think, where has your happiness come from in the last few weeks? And whatever those things are, see if you can do more of those. They may well be things that don't cost money. They may be quite surprising, simple things, but whatever they are, find ways to plan more of those into your life. And also, give thanks during and after. So while you're doing something, tell yourself, this is the life. I love this. How lucky I am to be able to be doing this. Don't take it for granted. Savour it. And then after you've done something good, review it. Think, that was great. I'm really glad I did that. Maybe each evening have a review and think back over the day and try and think of several things you've done that day that were good, that you can give thanks for. This works well with somebody else if you're married or living with a partner. Why not spend some time as a pair just thinking, what's been good today? Next is your self-talk. The voice inside your head, is it positive or negative? So don't spend time worrying about the future or going over the past thinking, oh, can't believe I did that. I should never have done that. If only I hadn't done that. So we don't want negative emotions about the future or the past or even the present. Because in the present, you've got a choice of self-talk. You can either think, oh, I don't like this, I'm not happy, I wish I wasn't doing this. Or you can think positively and think, actually, there are some really good bits about this. So self-talk is important to get right. And linked to that is to banish negative emotions. Try to become aware of all of your negative emotions and then get rid of them. The way to do this is to realize that you choose your negative emotions. Why would you choose a negative emotion? And the answer is you choose them for perceived payoffs, which are actually incorrect. So, for example, you might choose to feel guilty about something you've done because you get the incorrect perceived payoff that it makes the bad behavior okay. It makes you an okay person because, yes, you did a bad thing, but at least you feel guilty about it. And so there's a payoff that it makes it okay, which of course it doesn't. There's another perceived payoff of guilt, which is that you think it will make you change next time. But of course it makes you less likely to change next time if you're using guilt as an excuse. So the payoff, it will make me change in the future, is also untrue. And we all know that because we repeat behaviour feeling guilty every time and we don't change. So every negative emotion has some sort of perceived payoff. For example, anger makes you feel stronger. But again, that's incorrect. So think about what the payoffs are, realise they're incorrect and get rid of those negative emotions. Another thing you can do to make yourself happier in general is to look after yourself physically. So make sure you get enough exercise and make sure you get enough sleep. Those are simple and obvious things, but we don't do them. And while we're on the physical side of things, spend a bit of time with nature. We're animals, we're designed to be in the fresh air, we like walking, we like looking at views and hearing the sound of nature. So spend time out of doors with nature. And also, we like to build things. So have a project. It doesn't have to be a building project, but have a project which gives you a good feeling of making progress. It doesn't have to be a physical thing. It could be something like, for example, a novel that you're writing. But any project that gives you a feeling of progress is good. And 2 final thoughts on happiness. One is, don't compare yourself. Comparing yourself with other people just leads to competition, and you'll never win all the time. And even if you do, you probably won't feel good about it. So don't compare yourself with others, and dabble rather than trying to be brilliant at any one thing, because trying to master something is a road to nowhere. You will never master it. So dabble in a number of things. So rather than trying to be the world's best at the saxophone, play the saxophone a little bit, play tennis a little bit. Do a number of things reasonably well, rather than trying to be really, really brilliant at one thing. So there we are. There are some practical tips for happiness. My happiness book is available on Lulu, and I've done various other videos on happiness that you can have a look at on YouTube.